What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another very important AMC update to bring all of you this afternoon. So what we're going to be covering in this update is a brief analysis on the Ortex short interest and utilization numbers, because those are going to be very important, especially after such a crazy day like we saw today. We're going to go over a potential explanation for the price action that we are seeing today on AMC. There are two reasons. One of them has to do with the fiscal year ending for the government today, and a lot of other companies are going to be following that schedule as well, which is very, very important. And the second thing is going to be this government funding bill. We essentially avoided a shutdown. Now, over this past weekend, we were talking about how policy was going to be driving the markets this week, and that's why we were going to be seeing a lot of volatility. Now, we kind of expected this to happen, but they were going to wait until the last minute to essentially push something through, and that is exactly what we have seen. Now, in addition to this, we are also going to be going over some option chain analysis, because in the past couple of weeks, we haven't really seen the potential for a gamma squeeze, because that's just not what the option chain was giving us. But there is something on the option chain that I really want to make clear to you guys, and it is extremely bullish for what we have going forward. Now, the most important thing that I really want to get across to you in this update is, in the past, Citadel has been essentially banned from trading due to the same potential allegations and speculations that we have brought up due to this AMC and GameStop short squeeze situation. This is some really interesting information that I think should be spread, and everybody should understand exactly what happened with that situation. So before we get into all of that information, if you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provide for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So at the current time that I'm recording, it's about 3:30, about 30 minutes left in the market. AMC's trading at about $38.13. It reached a high today of $41.50. So we did see a very aggressive price movement to the upside. So there's a potential reason. Now, this is more speculative as to why we saw this big price run up. So when you think about all of these different institutions that could be over leveraged on these shorts on AMC, it is coming towards the end of the fiscal year. So it is entirely possible that they wanted to wipe their balance sheet clean and did cover either a portion of those outstanding shorts that they were holding, or all of those outstanding shorts at that one specific company that was over leveraged. That is a theory. You can't really confirm that, but it is entirely possible that along with this bill getting passed and the market going in the upward direction, that was happening as well. Now, when we come over to Ortex over here, let's give a quick refresh just so we have the most up-to-date information. Utilization, 85.91%. Estimated short interest, 20.55%, down slightly today. Now, it is possible that we are seeing some covering today, but not enough in a widespread fashion to see any type of significant squeeze. And I want to make sure you guys understand that, especially with the statements that I have just made. That is not me saying that we have just squeezed at all. That is just a possible explanation for why we are seeing the price run up specifically on this day. Now, when we come over to Stonko Tracker over here, we did see a spike up in the calls expiring in the money for this week. We went all the way up to 29,338, but that's not really the important thing I want to look at. When we come down here and take a look at all of these new weekly expiration dates, well, they're not really new, but the ones coming in the future, we have a situation where the calls in the money and out of the money are vastly outweighing the puts. Now, here is what this shows us. The sentiment on the option chain is telling us that a lot of people, institutions, and retail investors are looking for a big price run up and expecting a big price run up for AMC in the near future. We can see that going into this week, 198,000 contracts out of the money with 29,338 contracts in the money. Now, a lot of what's happening this week is a lot of people gambling on these far out of the money weekly options, hoping that AMC has a very significant price run up to the upside, which we kind of have just seen. But when we look at next week, we have 6,000 contracts in the money with 61,000 contracts out of the money. And when you combine these in terms of the open interest, it vastly outweighs the puts. And you can see the same thing going throughout this entire option chain. So what the option chain is telling us, again, it's not the end all be all of what is going to happen, but the option chain is very bullish on AMC going into the next couple of weeks and months. Now, when we come over to this article, Citadel Securities pays a $97 million fine to settle with China regulators. Now, everybody has seen these Citadel tweets and gone through them to kind of dissect exactly what they've been saying, along with the email chain. But when we see that Citadel has in the past continuously getting hit with fines that have to do with market manipulation, short sale rules, it doesn't really look good for this institution, especially in the public eye. So let's see what happened in this specific situation. So Citadel Securities, one of the largest market makers in U.S. stocks and options, has agreed to pay $97 million to resolve a probe by China's regulator into alleged trading rules violations. The Chinese securities regulator launched the 5-year investigation in 2015 following a stock plunge that erased nearly $3.9 billion in the mainland metal market. So quick side note here, think about how long this investigation lasted. 5 years. So a lot of people have been saying, why doesn't the SEC do something? Well, it's going to take them a while to actually do something. So the move comes after the China Securities Regulatory Commission pledged to strictly punish local institutional investors who were charged with short selling, rumor mongering, and foreign meddling for fueling a stock slide. Each respective fine was based on differing circumstances, such as the amount of money made through the suspected illegal acts. Short selling, rumor mongering, and foreign meddling sounds pretty similar to what's going on with AMC and GameStop. Now, when we read further into this article, we can see that in 2015, Citadel Securities saw one of its accounts managed by a Shanghai-based futures trading firm barred from trading shares by securities regulators. Now, what they really focus on here is basically short ladder attacks. Chinese regulators, however, didn't ban the practice entirely of short selling, but after the scrutiny, investors can't sell and then buy shares back at the same on the same day. Instead, they must now wait after the completion of a short sale transaction until at least the next day to repurchase. Now, I want to point this out to you guys. This is not breaking information, but this just shows a trail of behavior and consistency of behavior at this institution that what happened in January isn't something out of the ordinary, seemingly, that this institution would be participating in. Now, let's get into this other situation and why we could have potentially seen the markets run up towards the end of the day today. So when we come over here, we can see that the shutdown, Senate votes to keep the United States government open. We've seen these situations happen in the past where the government runs out of funding. They need some sort of funding bill to come in to keep the government open for a certain period of time. So what we're seeing today, the U.S. Senate has passed a measure to keep the government funded through September and avoid yet another federal shutdown. The bill now heads to the House of Representatives for final passage. Lawmakers face a midnight deadline before funding lapses, which could force federal museums, national parks, and safety programs to close. The government funding bill includes money for hurricane relief and for resettling refugees. So what we're seeing here is most likely this bill is going to get passed. We are going to see the government stay open, and that is bullish for the markets. This is one of the two things that we were watching out for this week to see what was going to happen with the overall market. The first was this government funding bill. The second is the debt ceiling. So we aren't necessarily out of the woods yet. We could still potentially see some debt ceiling issues coming up towards the middle of October. But this is going to provide some short-term investor confidence, and we could see some bullishness tomorrow and throughout the beginning of next week, which when we combine this with what we've seen out of AMC over this last week, these big sell-offs, I think this is going to give a lot of people a lot of confidence. Remember what we were talking about in yesterday's video. What we basically said is we are going to see a lot of this volatility, and we've been in this position for an extended period of time. Now, do you want these institutions to get away with what happened in January? Do you want them to not get punished for what happened in 2008? Because a lot of these institutions are the same ones that were basically at fault for what happened back in 2008 as well, and we didn't really see anybody get in trouble. They saw widespread bailouts, they paid themselves fat bonuses, and they just got on with their days, while the everyday person got hurt. You guys know what you need to do, and we're seeing it pay off today. So congratulations to everybody who was buying the dips and holding their position. But again, nothing I say in these videos is financial advice. These are for educational and entertainment purposes only. So that is going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video, so you get to stay up to date on all of your favorite stocks, learn about a couple of new ones, and see exactly which options I'm trading and which strategies I am using to trade them. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.